الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر إلى الذين خرجوا من ديارهم وهم ألوف حذر الموت فقال لهم الله موتوا ثم أحياهم إن الله لذو فضل على الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون صدق الله العلي العظيم وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغوا عني ولو بآية وحدثوا عن بني إسرائيل ولا حرج إلى آخره أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My most respected gathering, may the peace, mercy and the blessings of Almighty Allah descend upon us all. In many of the previous recent khutbas, we were reminded of the greatness of Allah in resurrecting the dead. We saw it in Surah Baqarah, where a piece of the cow was used to strike a murdered man, and Allah brought him back to life. When He pointed out his murderer, then he died again. We saw where Father Abraham alayhi salam, after having cut up 4 birds into pieces, he stood and he witnessed when he called them, the birds all came to him running. And there are many of such stories. And today, in this Surah Baqarah, verse 243, Allah is asking Prophet Muhammad, upon him be peace, Alam tara ila alladhina kharaju min diyarihim. Did you not see those people who came out of their homes? Wahum ulufun, and they were numbering in thousands. Why they came out? Hadar al-maut, fearing death. They were running away from death. فَقَالَ لَهُمُ اللَّهُ, then Allah said unto them, Mutu, die. And they died. Thumma, after that, sometime, Ahyahum, He brought them back to life again. Inna Allah ladhu fadlin ala nas. Indeed, Allah is full of bounty towards mankind. He shows them His signs. He shows them His greatness, what He is capable of doing. Walakin, but aktharan nas, there are many people, la yashkurun. They are not grateful. And this verse talks about some people who lived in a village called Dawardan in Iraq. A plague broke out there long ago. And people who lived there, fearing that they will be afflicted by this and they would die, decided to run away from that land. Go and stay somewhere else. Allah is very watchful. And it is said those people numbered about 10,000 people. You can try to imagine that. 10,000 people running away from the village. A plague broke out. Allah waited on the right moment. When they had reached in the wilderness, open land, there were 2 mountains. And when they reached in that place where they actually fell between the 2 mountains, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanting to teach other people the great lesson which they will talk about and narrate to others who will know His greatness subhanahu wa ta'ala. He commanded 2 angels, one at the bottom of the hill and the other at the top of the other hill. Just like the technician when he sets up his PA system, he has 2 speakers, he puts them and faces them in such a way that the acoustics will be to the max, the best ever. The 2 angels occupied those positions, and they made a shrill cry, high pitch, loud cry, and all those people died al-fawr, instantly. Not one of them was left alive. You know how that feels. A loud sound, some people who put their hands by their heart. They become terrified. Well, that was so intense that they all died instantly. And so, when the people living in the adjoining area heard about that, they all came in large numbers to see. Not difficult to imagine. Sometimes in the southbound lane, a vehicle just edges the road and slips off. On the northbound lane, for miles and miles, traffic piles up. Everybody wants to take a peep what is happening. Nothing has happened, and you are left to wonder why it is there is traffic. You are talking about not one person, 10,000 people died. Whoever would have heard about that would come out. They came out to look and see the command of Allah, the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making arrangement to shroud and bury 10,000 people is not an easy task. People find difficulty in shrouding one body. 10,000 more or less. So what was done was they just created a fence, right or wrong. That was it, in the wilderness. And so those bodies were left there. After the passing of many, many years, it was just skeleton, rotted bones, separated. This is the command of Allah. A prophet who was sent among the Bani Israel had passed there. Why he would pass there? Allah inspired him. Allah has His plan. He passed and he was very surprised to see so many, many human skeletons thrown away, scattered untidily in a fence area. After all, he was a prophet. He saw that and he was amazed. Allah cleared his doubt. Allah explained to him the entire story in detail, through inspiration, through revelation. So now he understood. He was told by Allah many, many years back, there was an epidemic that broke out and these people were running away from death. And Allah wanted to show the world of people, you cannot ever flee from death. Run where you want, go where you want, climb up, go down. Allah made it very clear when He said, Aynama takunu, wherever you would be, yudrikkumul maut, death will find you. Walau kuntum fi burujim mushayyada, Even though you are in lofty towers, death will find you. That's the great message. So when that prophet Hiskil among the Bani Israel, he understood the story. A desire came in his heart. He wanted to see these people live back. Perhaps that's the nature of prophets. Father Abraham had asked his Lord, show me how you resurrect the dead. Allah said, is it that you do not believe? He said, yes, I believe, Allah, but I want my heart to be at ease. And so that's when Allah told him about the 4 birds that went already. This prophet Hiskil, the desire came after seeing those skeletons in thousands. He wanted Allah to make them live again. And he made that request. Allah accepted. Look at the kind of request Allah accepts from His servants. They were not just dead bodies. I mean bones that were wearing flesh, nerve, muscle and skin. That would have been resembling, more reasonable. But here it is, the bones are separated, rotted, no flesh, no muscle and nerve, no skin. Allah accepted. And this was when Allah told him, all right, you say these words. Ayyatuhal idhamul baliya. O bones, old and rotted. You have to address accordingly. He didn't say, oh bones. Oh bones, old, decayed and rotted. Inna Allaha ya'muruka. Indeed, Allah commands you and tajtami'i, to come together, joint by joint, as you were. All these people who came, when they heard about this, again, there was a crowd, maybe not the exact people. There could have been some among them. But when something of that nature happens, as soon as you see activities, people will assemble again. Allah inspired. And there was a large crowd who assembled there when Prophet Hiskil was commanded these rotted bones, and they were looking on. Allah commands you to come together as you were before. And so the bones all came joint by joint. But that was only bones, skeleton. People looking on in amazement. And these are bones, I am telling you, that the whole world of people would have deemed to be useless. And they have no consciousness. You would pass a skeleton, rotted bone, and perhaps you would put your hand on your nose. That is rotten. Bad odor. Not thinking for a moment that they could have a degree of intelligence or consciousness to respond to an order. Look, they assembled with the command of Allah. Sometimes we forget that everything, an atom, the dust, all these elements, dust, air, water, fire, even though in our eyes they seem to be inert, not being able to move on their own, to respond, they all possess a degree of intelligence whereby they accept the command from Allah. And so is everything. Allah created everything. And He commands and they respond. You remember when the rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights, so much water. What Allah said? Ya ardu, O earth, ibla'i ma'ak, swallow up your water. The water was swallowed up. The earth absorbed the water. He talked to the sky. He commanded, Wa ya sama, ikla'i, be free of clouds. The rain stopped. Everything, huge and small, responds to the command of Allah. Everything. So that's how the bones also responded to the command of Allah through the order of Prophet Hiskil alayhi salatu wassalam. Now the second command came when Hiskil was inspired by Allah to say, Ayyatuhal idom, O bones, Inna Allaha ya'muruka, indeed Allah now commands you, and taktasi, to wear lahman, flesh and muscles. Allah commands you to wear flesh and muscles, isaban, nerves, wajildan, and skin. And at once these bones and skeleton became covered with skin, flesh, muscle, nerves. Look at the command of Allah. And you are talking about over 10,000 such skeletons. In just a split of a moment, they all wore everything that had belonged to them. But that was not all. They were bodies lying horizontally. They were motionless. The third command came when Allah inspired Prophet Hiskil. Ayyatuhal awrah, O souls, Inna Allaha ya'muruka, indeed Allah commands you, an tarji'a kulla ruhin ila al-jasad alladhi kanat ta'murun. Allah now orders you, O souls, to return to your respective bodies which you once inhabited. 10,000 bodies and soul, they were separated for a long period. And they all returned to their respective bodies. This you can understand, you in a function for 600 people. You spend an hour, 1 hour and a half. You get up to go to the feed and bay. You went buffet style with your plates, you come back and you find your seats. All the tables and seats are equal, same kind of decoration, they look alike, same tablecloth. 600 people, you got up and you went a little way and you came back and you find your seat and you spend just an hour there. Those souls inhabited the bodies for decades, and Allah is guiding and commanding through the angel, O souls, you inhabit the body which you have been in. When the life came back to those bodies, they stood up and hear what they will say. Subhanaka, glorified be you, O Allah. La ilaha illa anta. There is no God but you. There is no God but you. This is the case of the 10,000 people who were dead. Their bones were rotted. What about the masses of people who were there looking on and seeing the greatness of Allah? This is why Allah has mentioned, He said, Inna Allah ladhu fadlin ala nas. Allah is indeed very bountiful towards mankind. Look what He shows them. We have not seen, but we believe in what has been revealed. We have not an iota of doubt in our hearts. The Quran that carries this story in the very beginning, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is a book in which there is no doubt. This is a book in which there is no doubt. We have not seen. We were not there. Even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came many centuries after that. But look how Allah is asking him, Alam tara, have you not seen? He had no physical contact. He never saw with his mortal eyes. But because the events and the stories have been carried in such a book, in such a way, hearing about it, for those who have Iman, it becomes so real, as if you are actually witnessing with your eyes. Yes, that should be the height of our Iman. That we hear about it, it's from Allah, it's real, it's like we have seen it. All showing the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His capability of bringing back the dead alive. and teaching us that no one could run away from death. For running away from death is not only redundant and wasteful, but it also attracts the displeasure of Allah. No one could run away from death. Sometimes a person avoids going to visit a sick. What is your fear? If I go to visit the sick, I will catch the same virus he or she has and I am going to get sick. If that is destined for you, without you visiting that sick, it will come to you or some other way and cause of death. You would remember over 10 years ago, people who were afraid of going to the oceans never went to the ocean for fear that they will be drowned. They were at home. They never went to the ocean. The ocean came to them. I'm talking about a tsunami that wiped out over 250,000 people when it occurred in the Indian Ocean. Death you cannot escape, no matter what. Staying home for fear that if you go out you will die. Why should you go out to die when it was destined that you must die right home? You wouldn't go out, you will stay right where your death is destined. This is how Allah teaches the great lesson. وَيَقُولُونَ, the kuffars and those who are weak, يَقُولُونَ, they say, أَإِنَّا لَمَرْدُودُونَ فِي الْحَافِرَةِ, are we really going to be returned to our former state? Those who do not believe, they hear it, I am sure. Even non-believers would have heard from those who believe, yes, after you die, whether your body is burnt, it is buried, it is eaten away by some fish or some other animal, Allah will cause you to return to life again. So this is a question. Yakuluna, they ask, Inna lamardudun, would we really return fil hafira, to our first state? Aidha kunna idoman nakhira, even though we become rotted bones and we become one with Mother Earth? Yes. They said then that will be a return that will have loss, because they are not making any kind of preparations for it. This is the foundation of our faith. The article of faith as Muslims, Amantu billah. One says, I believe in Allah, wa malaikati, and in all His angels, wa kutubihi, and in all His books, wa rusuli, we believe in all His messengers, wal yawmil akhir, and we believe in the last day, the day of judgment, wal qadri, we believe in destiny, khairihi wa sharrihi min Allahi ta'ala, that good and bad come from Allah. So we always seek refuge in Allah from the evil while we beg for the good. Everything comes from Allah, and what comes from Allah is powerful. Just as good has its power, evil has its power. Seek refuge in Allah from all sorts of evil, including from the evil of our own selves. We all have evil within ourselves. Seek refuge in Allah from the evil that exists in ourselves, in our actions, in our behavior, and from the evil that exists among human beings and jinn, that we also learn in Surah Falaq, Surah Nas. Say it, it helps. Even the eyes of human beings, as beautiful and attractive as they seem to be, this is it. They sometimes carry evil. Najar. Seek refuge in Allah from it. It brings about envy, every form of it. وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ وَالْبَعْثِ بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ. This is how the article of faith ends. The article of faith ends like this, and I believe in life after death. We believe that from the bottom of our heart, and we have no doubt in it. My brothers and sisters, all these stories that we read in different narratives, what Allah has said about it, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ, all that we narrate unto you from among the stories of the prophets, different prophets, مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ, is that whereby we can confirm, we can strengthen your hearts, build your iman. وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقِّ, and in all of these stories hath come to you the truth. وَمَوْعِظَةً, and an exhortation. وَذِكْرَى, and a reminder. لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, for the believers. That's it. It's a reminder, but it is a reminder for those who have faith. Those who do not have faith would listen and scoff at these stories. Believers, listen to them, remember them, absorb them, and we make changes in our life. Do not ever become engrossed in the world to the extent that we forget making preparation for the hereafter. MashaAllah, some people who came for Jummah today, this is their second visit to the house of Allah for the day. Subhanallah. Make the effort. And we are seeing gradually there are results, because over the recent Khutbas, appeals were made to come out. Emphasis was made on the morning prayer, the Fajr. And MashaAllah, Allah bless those who have been guided, and they are now coming out. With all that rain, come out. Rain cannot kill you. Those people were running from death. They were running from a plague because they were afraid to die. Allah said, you want to see? You are afraid to die? He said, die. He sent the angel to shout, and they died. And they were running from death. Cannot run from death. What is destined for you, that only will happen. And so, my brothers and sisters, we learn from this. إِذَا كَانَ بِأَرْضٍ, if you are in any land, in any country in the world, وَأَنْتُمْ بِهَا, you are there, and a plague breaks out, an epidemic, do not run away from it. If you are there already, the hadith is, do not run away from there. That was put there because you were there. Think like that. Don't run away from it. وَإِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ بِهِ بِأَرْضٍ, but if you are somewhere else and you heard of a disaster, a plague, an epidemic in a land, do not enter that land. Do not go there. But once you are there already, do not run away. Do not escape. These are the teachings of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and reward us all, and may this bring great lesson to me and to you. And may we build our iman, put our trust in Allah, and go on and on making more and more preparations to meet with Him. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quranil Azim, wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikril hakim.